Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, coming up in the next 30 minutes. US President Joe Biden pardons his son Hunter despite previous statements to the contrary. President-elect Trump slams decision as an abuse and miscarriage of justice. US, France, Germany and UK urge de-escalation as fighting intensifies in Syria. At least 25 people killed in airstrikes in countries rebel-held northwest. Plastic pollution treaty talks to combat pollution conclude in South Korea with no agreement. Negotiators plan to meet again next year. Violent protests continue in Georgia against government decision to shelve EU membership talks. An Indian parliament reconvenes proceedings. Several bills lined up for discussions in both houses. External Affairs Minister to make a statement on India-China relations in the lower house. On to the top story this hour. US President Joe Biden on Sunday issued an official pardon for his son Hunter Biden, who is facing sentencing for 2 criminal cases related to tax evasion and the purchase of a firearm. Here's more in this report.
US President Joe Biden on Sunday issued an official pardon for his son Hunter despite assurances that he would not intervene in the legal troubles. Hunter was facing sentencing for 2 criminal cases, including a federal conviction for illegally buying a gun. The younger Biden has also pleaded guilty in a separate tax evasion trial, but had not faced sentencing. Biden had repeatedly said he wouldn't pardon his son. Biden's statement on pardon said Hunter was singled out only because he is the son of the US president. Expressing his dismay, President Biden said that he kept his word of not interfering in the judicial proceedings of his son, despite the fact that he was being selectively and unfairly prosecuted. The pardon has come after the White House press secretary said as recently as September that Biden wouldn't issue a pardon for Hunter. It is a full and unconditional pardon, and the decision cannot be rescinded by the President-elect Donald Trump. But that didn't prevent Trump from firing stinking salvos at Biden and the Democrats. In a social media post, Trump said, and I quote, "Does the pardon given by Joe to Hunter include the J6 hostages who now have been imprisoned for years? Such an abuse and miscarriage of justice. It is not the first time that a president has used his executive power to commute the sentence of a family member. On his last day in office, former President Bill Clinton pardoned his half-brother Roger Clinton for an old cocaine charges, while Donald Trump pardoned his son-in-law father for tax evasion and other crimes." Ayushi Bhatnagar reports for DD India.
And updates from Syria now. Russian and Syrian warplanes bombed the rebel-held city of Idlib on Sunday in an attempt to push back insurgents who have swept across northern Syria. The Syrian military rushed in reinforcements and said it was preparing a major counter-attack, while Moscow's air force joined in the bombardment of Aleppo and Idlib. The Syrian forces have also been fortifying the northern province of Hama. Syrian state news agency Sana reported the army overnight pushed back opposition fighters in its northern countryside. The Syrian army said it had recaptured several towns on Sunday that had been overrun in recent days by the rebels. Meanwhile, Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi met with Syrian President Bashar al-Assad on Sunday in Damascus. During the meeting, Iranian Foreign Minister described the situation in Syria as difficult. Araghchi reassured the Syrian president that Iran was ready to support the government in their counter-offensive. Arab leaders, including Jordan's King Abdullah II and United Arab Emirates President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, have also called Assad to express their solidarity. United Nations Special Envoy to Syria, Geir Pedersen, on Sunday appealed for all stakeholders in the conflict to immediately seek a political resolution. And updates on West Asia conflict now. The UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees, UNRWA, has paused the delivery of aid through the key Karam Shalom crossing between Israel and Gaza. UNRWA Chief Philip Lazzarini on Sunday said that the decision was made due to safety concerns after looting by armed gangs from inside Gaza. However, the UN official did not specify who was carrying out the looting. Meanwhile, Israel has denied the claims, saying there is no limit on supplies for the civilians. And updates from Georgia now. Clashes between protesters and police continued in Georgia's capital through the Sunday night. The crisis has deepened since Thursday's announcement that the government would freeze EU talks for 4 years, sparking a wave of protest in the capital, Tbilisi, and other cities. More on this report.
The Black Sea nation has been rocked by turmoil since the governing Georgian Dream Party claimed victory in October 26 parliamentary polls that the pro-European opposition said were fraudulent. The opposition is boycotting the new parliament, while pro-Western President Salome Zurabishvili called for pressure to be brought on the Constitutional Court to annul elections. Both the opposition and Zurabishvili say the poll was rigged. Critics accuse Georgian Dream, in power for more than a decade, of having steered the country away from the European Union in recent years and of moving closer to Russia, an accusation it denies.
People of Georgia is trying to protect their constitution, trying to protect their country and the state, and they are trying to tell our government that rule of law means everything and integration into the European Union is our future, and we don't want them to drag our country into Russia. That's the past, and we want to move in the future.
We are protesting against our parliament, Georgian Dream, because they canceled the way to go to the European Union, and we don't want to wake up in Russia and be slaves of Putin.
Georgian Dream says it is acting to defend the country's sovereignty against outside interference. Georgian Prime Minister Irakli Kobakidze has ruled out rerun of contested vote and dismissed criticism by the United States, which has condemned the use of excessive force against demonstrators.
The response is very clear. So we have not suspended anything related to the European integration. It's just a lie. And there are the opposition leaders, there are the media outlets linked with the opposition who are just lying to these people. But nobody has suspended the European integration of Georgia. We are very much committed to the European integration.
The EU and the United States are alarmed by what they see as Georgia's shift away from a pro-Western path and back towards Russia's orbit. The European Parliament has called for a rerun and for sanctions against top Georgian officials, including PM Kobakidze. Meanwhile, Russia is also following developments closely. Former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev's revolution was taking place and predicted that it will end rather badly. Bureau Report, DD India.
Well, countries negotiating a global treaty to curb plastic pollution failed to reach agreement on Monday, with more than 100 nations wanting to cap production, while a handful of oil producers were prepared only to target plastic waste. DD India's Antra Sinha has more.
The world is facing a daunting task. Millions of tons of plastic waste is polluting the oceans, rivers and landscapes every year. And the world is still seeking unity to tackle the enormous challenge. However, divisions between countries have stalled negotiations on the world's first treaty to tackle plastic pollution after a terse week of talks in South Korea's Busan. Countries negotiating a global treaty to curb plastic pollution failed to reach agreement early Monday, with over 100 nations wanting to cap production, while a handful of oil producers were prepared only to target plastic waste.
Nevertheless, there is a degree of structure to what this text could potentially be, and that forms an important next step for what will be 5.2. And it is clear that there is still persisting divergence. That is the reality of these negotiations.
India reiterated the enormity of the challenge of plastic pollution and stressed that no nation alone can completely resolve the issue. India outlawed single-use plastic in 2022 and urged the use of sustainable alternatives at the United Nations-led Global Plastic Treaty negotiations in Busan, South Korea. India emphasized the need to strike a critical balance between preventing the leakage of plastic in the environment and at the same time not affecting sustainable development, particularly of developing economies. Dozens of nations want the deal to mandate a reduction of new plastic production, and there have been calls to phase out unnecessary items such as single-use plastics. But others, led by some oil-producing states like Russia, Iran, and Saudi Arabia, have pushed back against any binding reduction call. For a week, delegates from nearly 200 nations meeting in South Korea wrestled with how to stop millions of tons of plastic waste entering the environment each year. 2 years ago, countries agreed they would find a way to address the crisis by the end of 2024. The meeting in Busan, South Korea, was meant to be the final fifth round of negotiations, but after late-night talks, countries were unable to resolve their differences, missing their 2-year deadline. Antara Sinha for DD India.
Well, in a symbolic gesture promoting environmental consciousness, India's Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Bhupendra Yadav, planted a sapling at the Indian Embassy in Riyadh ahead of the United Nations Convention to combat desertification's COP16. The tree planting ceremony aligned with India's Ek Ped Maa Ke Naam initiative, emphasizing the country's commitment to environmental stewardship. During his visit to the embassy, the minister also engaged with Indian students. The UNCCD COP16, marking its historic debut in West Asia, opens today in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, coinciding with the convention's 30th anniversary.
We are here in Riyadh to participate in the UNCCD conference. The theme of the conference about the future challenges of drought and desertification of land. Ek Ped Maa Ke Naam, Tree for Mother Earth, is a unique movement and program started by our Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji. Actually, it is a program which is a climate action oriented, and we are here on this earth because of the reason it's our duty to plant a tree and make our earth as a green and clean.
And Kuwait's Amir Sheikh Mashah Al Ahmed Al Sabah called for a ceasefire in Gaza on Sunday during the opening of the 45th session of the Gulf Cooperation Council in Kuwait. The summit follows the recent implementation of a US and France brokered ceasefire agreement between Israel and the Iran-backed Hezbollah group in Lebanon, ending the deadliest clash in years.
We reiterate our full support for all contributions from the GCC countries aimed at stabilizing the region, including the leadership of the Brotherly Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in efforts to recognize the state of Palestine as part of the international coalition for implementing the two-state solution. Additionally, we commend their hosting of the joint Arab-Islamic follow-up summit.
And updates now from neighboring Bangladesh. 83 ISKCON members have been stopped from traveling to India through Benapol checkpost in the last 2 days, despite them possessing valid passports and visas. Imtiaz Hasanul Kader Bhuyan, officer in charge of the Benapol Immigration Police, confirmed that these ISKCON members from different districts of Bangladesh came to the Benapol Immigration to go to India to perform religious ceremonies, and they returned them back. Bhuyan said these ISKCON members reportedly had valid passports and visas but lacked specific government permission for travel. He also said that they consulted the special branch of police and received instructions from the high authorities not to permit them. And Nepal's Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli has commenced his 4-day official visit to China on Monday. According to Nepal's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, PM Oli will call on Chinese President Xi Jinping in Beijing. Prime Minister Oli will also hold talks with his Chinese counterpart, Li Qiang, and exchange views on various issues of mutual interest. PM Oli is accompanied by a delegation including Minister for Foreign Affairs Dr. Arzu Rana Deoba, Economic and Development Advisor Dr. Yubaraj Kathiwara, parliamentarians, high-ranking government officials, private sector representatives and media persons. And still to come in this edition of DT India Live. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi and other parliamentarians will watch the Sabarmati report today. As a reminder to the gas tragedy in Bhopal, one of the deadliest industrial pollution disasters in history, 2nd December is marked as National Pollution Control Day. And we'll tell you all about the start of the Christmas festivities and the annual Disney Parade.
Geopolitics and trade deals, economic challenges amid development, hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DT India Live. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and moving on, days after penning a note of appreciation for the movie, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will watch the Sabarmati report on Monday evening. The screening is scheduled to take place in the Bal Yogi Auditorium within the Parliament House complex. Speaker of the Lower House of Parliament Om Birla and other parliamentarians will also attend the special screening of the film. The Sabarmati report, which hit the screens on November 15th, is based on the 2002 Godhra incident. The film has been declared tax-free in Odisha, Uttar Pradesh, Haryana, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh and Gujarat. And for more, we have Deepika Mehto joining us on this. Well, Deepika, Prime Minister Modi had earlier praised the movie, and the movie has garnered significant attention across the nation. Now, Prime Minister will be watching the Sabarmati report at 4 p.m. today along with other parliamentarians. Tell us more on that.
Good afternoon, Lipakshi. The movie, The Sabarmati Report, is already creating a benchmark when we talk about its performance at the Bollywood box office. And not only this, not only Prime Minister Narendra Modi himself praised the movie, but also we saw when Home Minister Amit Shah met the entire cast of The Sabarmati Report at his residence, and he praised the movie, and he said that the truth will be told about the Godhra riot, what happened in the year 2002. And now, in the recently held IFFI, Vikrant Messi, who's the lead actor of this movie, The Sabarmati Reporter, was honored with Personality of the Year award, and now Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be watching this movie at a special screening at the Bal Yogi Auditorium, which is there in Parliament at 4 p.m. according to the Indian Standard Time. And along with this, as you just told, that other parliamentarians, the Lok Sabha Speaker, will also be attending the special screening, which will be held at 4 p.m. today at the Parliament House. And with this, a special message will be sent across to the audiences, and it is their choice on whether to see the movie or not. report, but the truth is spoken through the movie. This is what we've been seeing throughout many tweets, also through various platforms also, and the reception also at the box office to this movie, the Sabarmati report, is also warmly being seen upon, with the number of trade, with the kind of trade it is making upon, with the kind of box office collection it is making so far. So let's see how it goes for the viewers. But today the special screening will have a special place today for the country as well, with the Sabarmati report and its screening.
All right, Deepika, thank you so much for all that update. An update on the winter session of Parliament now. Both houses of the Indian Parliament adjourned till Tuesday amid continuous uproar by the opposition parties. Many key bills, including Banking Laws Amendment Bill 2024, the Railways Amendment Bill 2024, were listed in the lower house for consideration and passing. And 40 years have passed since the Bhopal gas tragedy, the world's biggest industrial tragedy, which took place in Madhya Pradesh's capital Bhopal on the night of 2nd and 3rd December 1984. Thousands of residents of Bhopal died in this tragedy. The poisonous gas leak from the factory of Union Carbide Company located in Bhopal was so horrific that the third generation of gas victims is still suffering its pain. This gas tragedy in Bhopal was one of the deadliest industrial pollution disasters in history. This is why National Pollution Control Day is celebrated on the 2nd of December. Take a look.
These children are a stark, poignant reminder of the horrors that befell on Bhopal on the fateful intervening night of 2nd and 3rd December in 1984. A poisonous gas, methyl isocyanate, from the Union Carbide factory in Bhopal leaked. These are the third and fourth generation of the Bhopal gas victims who are still suffering the consequences of the fatal leak. About 558,125 people were directly affected by the leak, and the number of those partially affected was around 38,478. 3,900 were left completely disabled.
भयावह मंजर था कि रोड पे लाशें पड़ी हुई थी, मवेशी पड़े हुए थे। आप सोचिए क्या स्थिति होगी।
तो ये गैस पीड़ितों की अब तीसरी पीढ़ी है जो इस दंश को झेल रही है, और पुरानी पीढ़ी में तो गंभीर बीमारियां, किडनी है और तमाम तरह की गंभीर बीमारियां हो ही रही हैं।
The Modi government has linked the Bhopal gas victims and their children with the Ayushman scheme. Ayushman cards of a large number of gas victims have already been made, and the work of making Ayushman cards for the remaining ones is also underway. Earlier, gas victims had to depend on Bhopal's gas relief hospitals for free treatment, but now they can get free treatment up to rupees 5 lakh in any corner of the country through Ayushman scheme.
जो गैस पीड़ितों के लिए आयुष्मान कार्ड जो बने हैं, अब उससे ये होगा कि आदमी कहीं प्राइवेट में जहाँ भी उसकी मर्जी आएगी वो इलाज करा लेगा।
गरीब को मतलब एक सहायता मिली आयुष्मान की, हो तो कोई दिक्कत ही नहीं है उसमें। हाँ, हमारा कार्ड बन गया, हमारे घर में सभी का बन गया।
40 years later, the memories of the fatal incident trigger intense debate and discussion. Even now, apart from methyl isocyanate, traces of phosgene, hydrogen cyanide, carbon monoxide, hydrogen chloride, etc. were found in the gas cloud. This gas tragedy in Bhopal was one of the deadliest industrial pollution disasters in history. National Pollution Control Day is celebrated on 2nd December in memory of the people who lost their lives in it. With inputs from Aditya Srivastav, Antara Sinha for DD India.
And on to some sports news now. Netherlands, Sifan Hassan and Botswana, Let's Slide Tobago were named World Athletes of the Year on Sunday after they both scooped multiple medals at the recent Paris Olympics. Hassan won the women's marathon in an Olympic record time of 2 hours, 22 minutes and 55 seconds. She also claimed bronze medals in the 10,000 meter and 5,000 meter events. Tobago also made history in the French capital as he became the first African to win the Olympic men's 200-meter title and earned Botswana their first ever Olympic gold medal. He also set a national record of 9.86 when finishing 6th in the 100-meter final before being part of Botswana's silver medal-winning men's 4x400-meter team. And in football, Liverpool overawed arch rivals Manchester City in a 2-0 win on Sunday to take a 9-point lead at the top of the Premier League and extend their opponent's slump to 7 games without a win. Cody Gakpo and Mohamed Salah scored the goals for Liverpool as the result was City's first 4-game losing streak in the Premier League since 2008. The loss has pushed Pep Guardiola's struggling side down to an unfamiliar 5th in the table, 11 points behind their greatest rivals of recent years. And now let's take you to Chile, where the annual Disney parade in the capital city of Santiago on Sunday marked the start of the Christmas season, drawing large crowds of children eager to see their favorite characters. Thousands of people gathered in downtown Santiago to witness the parade, featuring characters from Disney, Pixar, Marvel, and Star Wars. Well, India's public broadcaster Prasar Bharati has recently launched Waves, entering the field of OTT platform. Waves provide a complete infotainment ecosystem to digital media and OTT audiences. If you also want great content for free, then download Waves today. That's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.